Oh, there you go.
Wait.
I want to welcome you all to this wonderful evening. My name is Beverly Bean, and the Peace Lantern ceremony tonight is our 20th annual Hiroshima-Nagasaki Remembrance, honoring those who suffered the atomic bombing in 1945. Each August, throughout Japan, people gather to float lanterns in honor of those victims and all who suffer in wars. Tonight, we reaffirm our commitment to ending nuclear proliferation and all warfare. Our program was developed by the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, Monterey County branch, and is also sponsored by the Peace Coalition of Monterey County, the Monterey Peace and Justice Center, the Monterey Peninsula Friends Meeting, the Veterans for Peace, Monterey Chapter 46, and the City of Pacific Grove. If you would like to make a contribution to this year's Peace Lantern ceremony, there are several donation jars on tables on the landing. I want to thank Shinso Mugandaigo, the wonderful Taiko Drummers, for their exciting performance. The sound amplification is being provided by Stu Hayden. Thanks to Stu for his help tonight and over many years. Many thanks to Sylvia Shee of the Monterey Peace and Justice Center and her friends for transporting our tables, chairs, and other supplies. Many thanks to Catherine Crockett, President of the Monterey Peace and Justice Center. Catherine organized the publicity, the technology, and the transportation of materials. Thanks to the City of Pacific Grove for having us, and to Adventures by the Sea for the electricity and the loan of the kayaks and their hospitality. We are happy to welcome Elaine Gehrmann, co-minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Monterey Peninsula, who will open the ceremony with a blessing.
Thank you, Beverly. Spirit of life, creative force of love in the universe, God of many names, we gather here this evening to remember together. We're here to remember the events of August 1945, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima on August 6th and Nagasaki on August 9th. We remember these events of 79 years ago. We remember our fellow humans who suffered, the loved ones who were lost. We remember with sadness and compassion and love. In front of the Hiroshima Peace Memorial's eternal flame, the inscription reads, "Rest in peace. We will not make the same mistake again." We are here to remember, but not only to remember, but to resolve. To resolve to continue the challenging struggle of nuclear disarmament and to work for global peace. To remember the victims and to pledge to work to prevent the making of the same mistake ever again. We affirm these words attributed to the ancient Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu. If there's to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there's to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there's to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there's to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. Let us each recommit ourselves this evening to the goal of world peace, remembering those who have suffered and the lessons we have learned, and resolving to work for more justice, more love, and more peace, beginning with ourselves. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Michael Lochovic will give the land acknowledgement for tonight's event.
Hello, I'm Michael Lochovic. Greetings, Horsha Trui. welcome, Ya at I. As we gather today, August 3rd, 2024, let us take a moment to honor the beauty and history of the land that surrounds us. We are on ancestral lands, lands of the Ohlone, Rumsen, and Esalen tribal communities who have lived here for millennia. Their ancient homelands stretch from the northern tip of the San Francisco Peninsula down to the Santa Lucia Highlands to the south. Despite the devastating impacts of the Spanish mission system and other forms of colonization, many descendants of the Ohlone and Esalen still reside on the Monterey Peninsula. They maintain their deep connection to this land and are actively working to restore their history, their art, and their music, to revive their culture, to bring their culture to us today. Understanding our past gives us insight into our future. Along the recreational trail between 11th and 13th Streets, you will find the Pacific Grove Historical Mural. The first panel depicts the indigenous Rumsen and Esalen people gathering food along this very shoreline. Recently, however, this panel was vandalized in a despicable attempt to erase these communities from our history. Thankfully, the City of Pacific Grove is committed to restoring the mural to its original condition. Do the right thing, yes. Land acknowledgements are not just about the past. We must strive to be mindful of the current day colonization of indigenous land and culture. As we feel the breath of those who came before us, we are reminded of a horrific point in the history of this nation. On July 16, 1945, the first detonation of a nuclear weapon was conducted by the U.S. Army at the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. Let us now remember the Mescalero Apache tribe, whose members were among the first to breathe the radioactive fallout of what came to be known as the Atomic Age. The Manhattan Project served as a test run before the attacks on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Dozens of indigenous, Hispanic, and poor families who lived within 100 miles of the test site received no warnings of the planned detonation. The warnings went as far as the border of the White Sands military base. These forgotten Mescalero people have struggled with the effects of radiation exposure for decades, and despite their efforts to be included in the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, or RECA, they have yet to be compensated by the United States government. Sadly, the deadline to apply for compensation ended this past June. Today, the nuclear weapons industry continues in New Mexico, one of the poorest states in the nation, with one of the highest populations of indigenous people. This is a form of nuclear colonization. Let us be clear as we gather together on this beach at Lover's Point. Reconciliation and decolonization are ongoing commitments. Although the RECA Act deadline has passed, it is not too late to write the government in Washington to articulate our feedback. For further info, see me afterwards. Now let us commit to recognizing and empowering indigenous people. We must work to preserve their histories, correct inaccuracies in our education systems, and advocate for land-based justice and equitable climate change policies. Without these actions, A land acknowledgement is an empty gesture. As we pay our respects to all Indigenous people, past and present, let us strive to acknowledge the harm done. Let us embrace our kin. Let us embrace our kin and commit to reversing the damage inflicted on them through centuries of colonialism and genocide. Let us go forth from this day with our voices united as one. And as our voices rise, let the mass weapons of destruction fall. It will have to be us. It will have to be us. I close now with lyrics from a song by Lawrence Cole. Humbly we walk here. Humbly we sing here. Humbly we bless this ground. Humbly and with gratitude, remembering the ancient ones who walked this ground. Ma'iwa, ma'iwa. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That was very powerful. Mayor Bill Peake of Pacific Grove, a member of Mayors for Peace, is here representing Pacific Grove to welcome us. Mayors for Peace is an international organization of cities dedicated to the promotion of peace. It was established in 1982 by Hiroshima Mayor Takeshi Araki in response to the atomic bombings. Since then, mayors throughout the world have signed on. There are now 8,174 member cities in 166 countries and regions. Mayor Peake.
Thank you, Beverly, and the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, Monterey County Branch, advocating for peace for more than 100 years, and in appreciation for sponsoring the 20th Hiroshima-Nagasaki Remembrance Peace Lantern Ceremony here at Lovers Point. On behalf of the City of Pacific Grove, welcome. And if you come from afar, yes, it's always foggy here in the summer. As Beverly mentioned, Pacific Grove has been a member of the Mayors for Peace, and some of the words from its mission: to contribute to the attainment of lasting world peace by arousing concern among citizens for abolishing nuclear weapons, by striving to solve vital problems such as starvation and poverty, the plight of refugees, human rights abuses, and environmental degradation. Today, a set of lofty but more relevant and pressing goals than ever before. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Peake. Next, we have Troy Ishigawa, who will tell us his Hiroshima-Nagasaki story.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki left an indelible imprint on my mind and psyche. Twice I have visited Hiroshima. Once I was visiting my cousin Keiji and his family. Keiji and his wife owned Raffia, a florist shop outside the Peace Park. There's a grand piano dead center where their daughter Ayano had played. She's a piano teacher in Shanghai, China. Keiji escorted me to the Hiroshima Peace Museum. I learned about the US bombing and the alternative of not using it in Germany. One reason for the bombing was a warning to Russia. See, we, the United States, has a nuclear weapon, and we are willing to use it to destroy anybody we choose. Keiji showed me a digital directory where many of the bomb victims' names and photos are archived. He pulled up his wife's aunt's photo, and who had perished at the tender age of 19. We continue in the main hall of the museum, but my head can't absorb anymore. I ask we leave because the anger I'm feeling is growing in intensity. I have never left the museum angry before. I was angry at the Americans, and yet I am an American. On another visit, I was alone and had visited the Peace Park. I encountered a school groups and remember a junior high school girl who rang a peace bell but didn't want to disturb others, so she rung it softly. As most young Japanese girls, she was hesitant and apologetic. I thought she had nothing to apologize for. Wasn't ringing the bell a symbolic way of awakening the kami or gods? All junior high school students in Japan take a field trip to either Nagasaki or Hiroshima as part of their curriculum. Before I left the Peace Park, I crept closer to the remnants of what was the former Industrial Promotion Hall, the only structure left behind to remind the world of the devastation of the atomic bomb. There, remains are cordoned off, but even before I reached the cordon area, I could still feel the force field emanating from the molten steel shell. After all these years, it was still perhaps giving, sending, dispersing off radiation. In the beginning of my story, I mentioned Nagasaki. I haven't visited the city yet, but I would like to. Once home, I showed my photos to my cousins who have visited Nagasaki, and Carole said, "Oh, you had visited Nagasaki." I said, "I haven't. I visited Hiroshima." I guess the similar symbolic monuments are repeated, just like the bombing. In June, one of my cousins from San Jose visited Hiroshima with her family on their vacation. She took us a photo of junior high school students singing in front of the Children's Peace Monument. She was pleasantly surprised. The students did a wonderful job and helped smooth the feelings of somberness with their bright voices.
Thank you, Troy. First-hand experience. I'm pleased to introduce Jennifer Fellguth to read her poem written specifically for this event.
I'm going to begin with an epigram from the poet Amanda Gorman. She wrote, "There is no such thing as a gentle war. There is no peace that can't be flung aside. Our only enemy is that which makes us enemies to each other." Antidote. Let us gather within sheltered lagoon, contemplate women, children, elders, indiscriminately slaughtered by bombs. Let us counteract malignant power lust, trigger happy hatred, propaganda-fueled rage, call for peaceful solutions. Instead of separation into opposing armies, let us use voices and reason, set aside aggression, act in the interests of common good. Tonight, we launch tiny votives into tranquil Pacific, illuminate encroaching darkness, offer hope, serene but unyielding examples of grace. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was beautiful. We are honored to have Sharat Lin with us tonight as our keynote speaker. Dr. Lin writes and lectures on global political economy, labor migration, social movements, and public health. He is presently affiliated with Human Agenda, the San Jose Peace and Justice Center, and the Initiative for Equality, and has long been a prominent community activist for world peace and social justice. He received his PhD at UC Berkeley in medical physics and is a noted political economist. He's a contributing author in the book Studies in Inequality and Social Justice. Sharat has studied and reported on conflicts and uprisings, such as the Lebanese Civil War and the Arab Spring. He has traveled to many countries with which the U.S. government is at odds in an effort to build people-to-people friendship, including Cuba, Venezuela, North Korea, and China. In 2018, he visited Hiroshima and Nagasaki on the 73rd anniversary of the U.S. dropping of the atomic bombs to deliver an apology from the American people to the Japanese people.
Well, thank you very much, Beverly, and thank you all for being here. Thank you, everyone who was involved in the organizing of this amazing event for 20 years. And special thanks to the city of Pacific Grove for hosting, or for being the place where we can have this kind of ceremony. And yes, so I visited Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It's been 6 years now, and it's hard to believe it's been that long. But I felt that I really had to do this because the U.S. dropping of these two atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki was totally unnecessary. And the U.S. government continues to put out the line that, well, it shortened the war and resulted in a saving of lives. The fact is that Emperor Hirohito was ready to surrender, and he in fact wrote it in a note that he gave to his ambassador to the Soviet Union, a note that said that Japan would readily surrender as long under one condition, and that condition was that the institution of the emperor not be destroyed, and that Stalin arranged to give that note or transmit it to President Harry Truman at that time, and that was in June. That was in June of 1945. So 1.5 months before the dropping of those bombs. And so the U.S. knew that Japan was ready to surrender and could have done so without the use of these horrible weapons. Nevertheless, it went ahead and did it for 3 reasons. 3 reasons. These are the 3 real reasons. The first is to assert U.S. power, to assert U.S. dominance in the post-Second World War world, in the post-war world. Second was to prevent Russia from actually entering the war and being able to claim the spoils of victory over Japan. The third reason was to actually test these horrible weapons on human beings. So the first bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima was a uranium bomb, and a U-235, and the second bomb. This is why the second bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki was different. It was a plutonium bomb. So the idea was to do this as a kind of test on actual human beings, and to test these 2 different kinds of bombs. And although the outcome was never in doubt. So that's the tragedy of this thing. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is that there are other kinds of, when we're talking about preventing the horrors of war and preventing the acts of mass destruction, we should also look at a number of other kinds of weapons. And ever since 1972, the world has been working on ways to limit or prohibit these other kinds of horrible weapons. And so I just briefly go through them. The first of them is biological weapons. The world realized that biological weapons could very, very easily get out of control and lead to an unintentional global epidemic. And so the members of the United Nations in 1972 passed the Biological Weapons Convention to prohibit biological weapons. Most of the nations, including the U.S., including the great powers, signed on to that treaty. which came into effect in 1975. The second effort came in 1993 when the world, the United Nations, gathered to consider a convention banning banning chemical weapons. And once again, most all of the countries signed on to it, and it came into effect 4 years later in 1997. The third effort was about landmines and sea mines, so anti-personnel mines. And the reason that these were particularly onerous was because they are left behind in battlefields, and any civilian, especially children, poking around the soil can hit one of these mines and set it off. And so innocent people who are long after the war is over are being killed. And so the world passed this measure in 1997. Unfortunately, countries like the United States and the other great powers did not sign on to it. And the reason is because these countries, including the US, had used landmines in Vietnam, in Korea, and continue to produce mines to this very day. And so they refused to sign this treaty. The fourth effort came in 2008 with the effort to ban cluster bombs. And once again, the United States and other major powers, when I say major powers, I'm talking about Russia, China, India, and also Israel, refused to sign on to the ban against cluster munitions. And finally, we come to 2017 when the world votes to pass the TPNW, the Treaty on the Prevention of Nuclear Weapons. And enough countries ratified it in 2021 for that treaty to come into effect. But once again, the United States, in fact, all of the nuclear powers refused to sign it. So this is something that has to come from the people. The people have to demand in each of their countries that the countries of the world sign on to each and every one of these treaties banning these weapons of horror, weapons of mass destruction. And it's only efforts that come from the people that can achieve this. Finally, I want to talk about something because it's happening before our eyes, and that is the world's first televised genocide. And the reason that this televised genocide is happening is because of weapons that are being provided by the United States. 68% of the weapons that have been used in Loza were manufactured in the United States of America. And so we have an unfortunate hand in this. And the other thing to understand is this, is the kinds of weapons that are being used. Because these weapons are, well, a lot of them, a disproportionate number of these weapons are conventional weapons, but they are very large. So the kinds of bombs or shells that were used in Afghanistan or even Ukraine are mostly smaller shells that weigh a few hundred pounds. A lot of the bombs that you see being used in Gaza are 1 ton, 1.5 ton, 2 ton bombs. Okay, and these are bunker busters. They're filled with depleted uranium to make them really heavy, to give them a lot of penetration, and a lot of explosives. So when they hit the ground, they make a huge explosion, and that's why one bomb can take out a high-rise building. Okay, and these are manufactured in the United States. In fact, look at it this way. In the first 3 months of Israel's assault on Gaza, Israel dropped 75,000 tons of bombs on Gaza, which is a tiny space, less than the area of the city of San Jose. And that 75,000 tons of bombs is equal to the total tonnage of bombs that the United States dropped on Afghanistan in 20 years. 3 months. This is 3 months in Loza, 20 years in Afghanistan. So this puts it in perspective. Why we have to stop the horror, why it's our responsibility to stop what's happening in Loza and to stop all forms of mass destruction. Okay? And so with that, I mean, it's very important to take an opportunity like this, an event like this, where we remember what happened, 79 years ago. But we have to think about how do we apply the lessons of 79 years ago to today? How can we change our behavior today to make the world a better place, a safer place, a world for peace? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharat. We are happy to have Justin Loza, Vice President of Veterans for Peace, Monterey Chapter 46, speak to us. I was wondering if Justin was here. I did not see him. And in fact, I don't think he is here. Veterans for Peace is our co-sponsor, and we'll consider that their speech for tonight. I would like to now introduce Sylvia Shee, and she will introduce a song for all of us to sing, led by members of the Wholehearted Chorus.
We are going to sing a song, and the song is picked by Amber, and Amber is going to do the conducting.
The song is Flame by Susie Rowe Prater. And here are the lyrics. Listen deeply. A flame is rising in the center of the storm. She sings in silence. Inside the ocean of my soul, voices rise and weapons fall, and nations unite across the world. And songs of peace at the heart of every land.
Rising in the center of the storm.
Thank you, thank you. That was a wonderful addition to our program. Happy to have you, Chorus. I hope you'll come back again.
Yes, yes, yes.
That was wonderful. For our last speaker, I would like to introduce Carole Erickson, a long-term member of the Society of Friends and the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, and one of the founders of this event. She will read a message to close the program.
I'd like you to listen to the two messages selected for a festival of this sort. The first is from the Dalai Lama, whose Tibetan Buddhism responds and corresponds greatly with Quakers. You will recognize it. World peace must develop from inner peace. Peace is not just the mere absence of violence. Peace is, I think, the manifestation of human compassion. Some years ago in Berkeley, about 25 years ago, a cohort of Japanese Buddhist priests also had a peace lantern ceremony in Berkeley, and this is their message. In this time of hate, chaos, and uncertainty, let us reaffirm our desire to bring peace and compassion to everyone and everything in this world. Let us not only remember those who perished in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but in their memory, let us remember as well the people and all beings throughout the world who have lost their lives in war and hate, and those who have suffered from loss of loved ones in war. May this gathering be an inspiration to the whole world, that each of us here tonight promises to work for the cause of peace and harmony for the sake of humankind. In a spirit of oneness, with trust in infinite compassion and wisdom, we set forth these peace lanterns that will help inspire hope and peace throughout the world.
Thank you, Carole. Tai Chi Master Jim Scott Behrens will play the Shakuhachi flute. We ask for your quiet attention while the lanterns are launched and are afloat. This is a time for thought, prayer, and meditation, mixed with sadness and hope. Thanks to the kayakers and to Lynn Hamilton, who organized them for this event. Thanks to Pat O'Neill and Steve Bean for maintenance of the rafts. And thanks to everyone for your participation.